Bus drivers rarely get much respect, but Robert Scott gets more than respect. He has teenage fans lining up for his ride. Known as the Justin Bieber of bus drivers, this rolling rock star has been driving the streets of Norway for 13 years, entertaining his passengers with fine dining, pole dancing, and even welcoming wildlife on board.
Hey, you coming? I gotta drive.
He's occasionally late picking up passengers, but they don't seem to mind. He's amassed over 1.9 million followers on TikTok.
When I see these kids smile, it warms my heart that me, a bus driver, could put a smile on people's faces. I mean, that is so literally awesome.
Born in a tough Boston neighborhood, he now lives the limelight in Norway with his wife of nearly 30 years and 3 kids. But how'd he go from severely depressed after the death of his brothers to this superstar? He's now in the top 1% of bus drivers. How'd he get there? Let's learn from this Localish legend. Rob Scott, you are in the top 1% of bus drivers around the world. You're known as the Justin Bieber of bus drivers. You have kids lining up just to take your bus. How did it all begin?
It's a funny story. I have a son and 2 daughters, and it was actually right there that I started putting out videos for everyone. Because I had a private Facebook, and I made a bunch of videos, and my kids, believe it or not, think I'm cool. And they're like, Dad, you gotta stop posting this stuff so everyone can see. You'll go viral. I was like, all right, let's give it a go. So when Corona came, that opened up a lot of doors because I lost my hours. But fortunately, I'm living in Norway, so we have a good safety net. And me and my son just started going out and filming TikToks almost, I would say almost every single day. And it's been fun ever since.
That's incredible, because you're a bus driver there in Norway. And how long had you been a bus driver at this point?
I've been driving the bus now for 13 years.
13 years, COVID hits, yeah. People stop taking public transit. They get worried, and your hours were cut.
Exactly. I mean, there was no more tourists coming to town. All the planes were put away. All the buses were put away. So I was sitting there bored out of my mind, and I was like, I got to do something or I'm going to go crazy in this house. So me and my son, we went to the parking lot. We borrowed a bus, we started making videos, and then the rest is history now.
Well, your boredom led to the entertainment of the world. You now have over 1.9 million followers. I saw you just got verified. And talk about the first video that really took off.
The very first video was actually, it was my son. He was like, hey, Dad, you have to go on TikTok. I was like, I ain't going on TikTok. That's for kids, right? He's like, no, this is really, it'll be awesome for you. So one day he came to work with me, and I was just playing around. I was singing a song, dancing, and he ended up posting that video, our very first TikTok, and that went like viral at the time. I mean, we got like 500,000 views on that first video. I was like, oh, this is fun. Let's keep this going. And it seemed like everyone was loving it. I mean, we literally get tens of thousands of messages. Oh, you make my day better. Oh, you bring a smile to my face. And you know what? That is so humbling and awesome that I had to continue making videos after that.
Without a doubt. And I mean, your energy and your moves, I mean, where did you learn to dance like that?
Michael, I love you because I do not dance. Let's just make that straight right now. I move my body, I vibe, but trust me, bro, I cannot dance. It's just a vibe.
And one of the things you do, and I think one of the reasons people connect, is that sometimes bus drivers don't get a lot of respect, and you've kind of changed that narrative. And why was that important, and how did you kind of create that new image?
Yeah, that was very important for me because when I was younger, when we walked by a bus driver, I mean, we had respect for them. It was just like walking by a police officer. It was just like walking by a pilot. I mean, it was mad respect. But I feel like when I started working for 13, 14 years ago, I felt like nobody had respect for us. So it was very important for me to let people know that, yeah, bus drivers were pretty awesome.
You're rock stars now. I mean, you're getting sponsored deals. You've got just an incredible audience. And what are some of your favorites of the classic TikToks you've made?
I love the content videos when we do the skits. I absolutely love using. I mean, one of our videos we actually used 2 weeks to make for a 30-second video. So them are the videos me and my son love to make. Of course, I'll hop on the trends, I'll hop on the sounds, and I'll give people a vibe. And I love doing that because it seems like people love that too. But when we really put work into it and get rewarded with it, we love those the best. And of course, the ones we get paid to do, them are nice to do as well.
And you've been living in Norway, but your accent is definitely not Norwegian. Where are you from originally?
I don't like to say this because everyone on TikTok, they're so confused. They're like, hey, how's this Norwegian speak so good English, right? And I'm like, I grew up watching mafia movies and The Godfather, so that's why my English is good. But I'm from Boston. I met my wife there in 1993 and moved to Norway in 93. So there's a reason why I have a Boston accent, but I feel like it disappeared a lot because every time I visit the States now and I talk to my friends, that they're like, what happened to your voice? I'm like, I guess it's because I'm living in Norway for the last 30 years that you miss that. Like I don't say, I parked my car. I don't say that anymore.
But you still have that incredible voice, unforgettable, and it's from a childhood growing up there in Boston. Talk about your neighborhood, kind of just your roots.
Yeah, I grew up in a place called East Boston. We moved to Revere. I had a great childhood. My best friend, to this day, me and him were like frickin' frack. We were like Abbott and Costello. We did everything together. I had 3 brothers. We played sports together. We chased the girls together. I mean, my childhood was awesome with the sports and even school. I love going to school. So when it comes to my childhood, I have no complaints. It was a tough neighborhood because back in the day, I don't know if you know this, but downtown Boston was not like it is today. It was a lot different. I love it now that I'm older, that Boston has changed the last 30 years. It's like very touristy. So when I take my wife and kids to Boston, I feel like a tourist now myself.
And you met your wife on the streets of Boston.
Yeah. She was actually up here, a babysitter for us lame people. She was working for a very, very wealthy family in Connecticut. And one time she took a trip up to Boston with another Swedish girl. And I was out with my brother that night, and we were having some beers at the Christopher Columbus Park. And then before you know it, we see a couple of good-looking girls walking by. We're like, hey, how you doing? And that gets them all the time. And I started talking to a Norwegian girl and a Swedish girl. And before you know it, a long story short, I'm still happily married. I'm proud to say that. Not perfect. We have 3 kids, and we've been enjoying life here in Norway.
30 years with a remarkable woman, and you have 3 kids now. And talk about, obviously, you went from a very Bostonian life to Bergen in Norway. What was that switch like, and how is it different, you think, being a bus driver in Boston versus being a bus driver in Bergen?
I can say this right away, that the biggest difference, what was most difficult for me when I came to Norway was the fact that Norwegians as a whole are more reserved. You know what I mean? Unless it's a Saturday night and they have a couple of drinks, then it's like, hey, how you doing, right? But otherwise, they're very quiet people. They look straightforward. And before I was Norway Rob on TikTok and Instagram, people just went right by you. I mean, almost like you were invisible. But once you break down that barrier with the Norwegians, they're awesome people, but they have a Berlin Wall barrier in front of them. But being Norway Rob, that opens them up right away. Like when I'm driving the bus now, oh my God. When I see these kids smile, even adults, I mean, and they take a selfie with me, and as they're running off, I kind of like watch their face in reaction. Oh, it warms my heart that me, a bus driver, could put a smile on people's faces. I mean, that is so literally awesome. I love it.
Well, and you do it not only on your route, but just around the world. People are watching you, they're inspired by you, and just to see the energy that you've brought to your town, and then more broadly, is just so inspiring. So I know when I came across it on my phone, I stopped, I said, I need to talk to this man and hear his story.
I appreciate that, Michael. That's the best compliment. I know it's cliche, Don't get me wrong. I like making a little extra cash on the side with some of the videos. But at the end of the day, it really is about just vibing, putting out genuine love, and enjoying myself, because as everyone knows, life can be very brutal, and it is brutal. So why not enjoy them little moments that we have? If it's making a tic-tac, if it's making a tic-tac, if it's making a TikTok, or going on vacation, eating a good dinner, we got to enjoy them moments, because as a whole, life can be pretty brutal.
And you've also experienced some real loss. And when you talk about that brutality, I know you mentioned your brothers in Boston, and they had it tough, huh? My nightmare started actually 10 years ago, because me and my son, we were supposed to start making videos for 10 years ago. We had a whole YouTube channel set up. We made thousands of hours of content. We were just ready to open it up. And then all of a sudden I get a telephone from USA that my youngest brother Shane died. And that was my first real loss in life, beside my dog when I was younger. And that hit me in the stomach hard. I mean, I was sad for like 2 years. I remember after about 2 years, my sister called and says, "Hey, how's things going?" And I was like, I'm kind of tired. She's like, "You're not tired, kid. You're depressed, right?" So I never used that word before. And then, so we were feeling pretty, I was feeling better. I was going through that mourning process, and I found out, okay, we got to start filming again. And then after 2 years after Shane died, I get another call, and my older brother Anthony's dead. And I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I just couldn't breathe, actually. I didn't have time. I just got over my brother Shane's death, and now Anthony's dead. And I'm like, the reasons why I love visiting the States was my brothers, of course, my sister, my mother, father, and nieces and nephew as well. But my brothers were my number one goal every time I visited to the States. So that took us for another loop. So my son's like, "Come on, Dad, you can't lay down like this, because all I was doing was going to work, driving the bus, and coming home, to be honest with you." And I was depressed. And then after a couple of more years, I was like, okay, I feel like I'm feeling better. I can start making videos again. And then I get another call. My brother Craig's dead. And this was right before Corona. And I'm telling you, I was, I felt like I've been sad for almost a decade now, because every 2.5 years, one of my brothers died. So every time I felt like I was getting better, boom, I get hit in the stomach again. And then after a couple of more years, boom, I get hit in the stomach again. So when Corona actually came around, and my son was like, "Dad, come on, let's go out. I mean, let's just see what we got. Let's see if we can get a vibe." And then I found out, you know what? I could do two things. I could lay down in bed. I could go to work, come home, sit on the couch, or I could stand up. And I chose to stand up and enjoy life. Enjoy them great moments that come, because there always will be great moments, even though you get punched in the stomach and knocked down every once in a while. Well, that resilience is just extraordinary. I mean, to face that and then to find this as an outlet for your own joy, and you exude it. I mean, when you're dancing, when you're moving, you just have this way of letting people know you got an inner light.
Yeah, Michael, that's exactly it. Like, I really do feel that. That's the best part about doing these TikToks now, because every TikTok I do, one of my brothers comes out, and that's the best part. Like when I'm acting like the tough bus driver, that's my brother Shane. When I'm the goofy dancing bus driver with the hat on and the money bag, that's my brother Craig. When I'm the witty guy, that's my brother Anthony. And when I watch these videos, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I see my brothers through those videos. So it's been a great medication for me personally, making TikToks, believe it or not.
I believe it. I mean, and to think that you've brought the best of Boston to Bergen, Norway, and to bring this family is just incredible. And you're now a reality TV star over there. You've got so much else going. What does the future look like for you?
It's looking very bright, to be honest with you. I always make sure we have things to look forward to. Me and my son right now, we're building a studio upstairs on the second floor. We're going to start our own podcast. I got one of the biggest radio personalities. He's like a brother to me. I love him. He's genuine. He has the same amount of energy as me. And when me and him are together, it's fireworks. So me and him are going to be starting a podcast in a couple of months. So we have a lot of things to look forward to. Me and the wife, in September. We'll be married exactly 30 years. I have a big trip planned for that. So, yeah, for me personally, I'd love to have things to look forward to. And so we have a lot to look forward to in 2023.
Well, in my book, you're without a doubt in the top 1%. Personality-wise, the way you've connected, the following. What's your advice to other people who want to be in the 1% of their profession, stand out and be extraordinary?
You have to be a bus driver, number one. You have to have a TikTok ring light, number two. And you, now, to be honest with you, I think the most important thing is just be genuine. Be yourself. Go with the vibe. Don't try to be like anyone else. And I think that is the advice I would give to anyone on social media, TV, or the radio.
Well, it's a treat to learn from you and to hear from you just how you've impacted Bergen, Norway, and we're bringing you to the United States here on ABC Localish. Thanks so much for joining us today.
It was my pleasure, Michael. Yeah,
pleasure.
No, my pleasure.
All right, stay close, and we'll be in touch.